Resume prepare చేస్తున్నా.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Can you all hear me? Turn on your mic once. I want to hear your voice. Good evening. Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Are you all awake?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Just say good evening either in the chat box or with your voice. Say good evening. I'm expecting good evening from everyone because
Good evening,
I want to know
sir.
that you are awake. You are awake, you're active, and you're listening.
And water story.
Right. Somebody is talking continuously. That is Yashasvi. Yashasvi, can you mute yourself? Good. Right. So only few responses I got. So probably 6 messages and maybe 2 or 3 people said good evening. I don't know what others are doing. Right.
Sir,
Here I have a pardon? Here I have a good news for you. Please mute yourself.
5 minutes late.
Yeah, please mute yourself. I'm going to mute everyone. I have a good news for you. Okay. I have a good news for you. And so listen to this carefully. I'm just going to show you something by typing it. So you are able to see my notepad. So number one thing is we have recruiters. Okay. They are looking for candidates from us and they are there ready to hire people. So they are recruiters and they are going to conduct Papineni, Mr. Papineni, don't write anything. So if somebody does something mischievous, Papineni Manisha, don't use annotations. Okay, if somebody does something mischievous, I will immediately know that. Okay, I will immediately know that. So keep that in mind. So, right. So there are recruiters. They are sending us some assessment and exam. Okay, so assessment and exam. And that assessment is for top coders. They want to judge some of you and they want to check your ability, whether you are able to code well or not. And they'll place you on leaderboard. Okay, leaderboard after you attend that exam, after you take that assessment, you'll be on the leaderboard and companies are going to hire you. Organizations are going to hire you after this top coders exam. Okay, that is the assessment. So very soon we are going to conduct it, probably on Sunday. This Sunday we have that exam, this Sunday. So get ready yourself. So prepare yourself well and study as much as possible from the internet. However, on I am going to give you some questions and some challenges, okay, based on Python. So I don't give you any questions and any concepts on communication, but I'm going to give them on Python. So I'll share those things with you by tomorrow. Okay, but just keep in mind, so you should be ready to take an assessment on Sunday. Okay, so recruiters are there. They have already prepared an exam and they want to choose top coders and the coder's name will be displayed on the leaderboard. Okay, so is it good, guys? Are you feeling excited about this? You know, if you perform well, there is a high possibility that you will get a job. You will get a job. You know, that's what you need to understand. You will get a job. Right. So let's switch to Python shell. Let's switch to Python shell. And some of you may find the things are very insignificant, but slowly we are moving towards serious development, serious application development that you can apply to desktop applications. Okay, that will apply to web applications and mobile applications. The principles I'm going to discuss, they are applicable for every platform that you are going to see and use in the future. Okay, right. So you'll be informed about the platform on which there will be an assessment, and inform your friends, as many friends as possible from your college. Okay, let them join and take this assessment. Okay, and also they should attend this course because this will prepare you for further in the coming days for more recruitments and more placements. So just keep that in mind. Right. So let's get started with our class. Let's get started. So I just want to know, what were we discussing in the previous class? I just want to hear from your mouth. Who is going to answer that? What were we discussing in the yesterday's class? Can somebody remind me? Of course,
Operation.
you remember. Pardon? What is it? Okay, we have discussed operators. Okay, we have discussed variables. Then what were we discussing yesterday? 7 basic functions, right? And we are talking about which function yesterday at the end of the session? Does somebody remember which function we were talking about? Print function. We are in the middle of print function. So we were discussing the second function, that is print function. Okay. Now today, along with print function, we are going to learn 2 special characters. First one is \n. This is called new line character. This is new line character. That means wherever the / is there, it is, you know, like hitting the enter key on the keyboard, return key on the keyboard. So wherever you find the \n, that will take the control to the next line. It's a new line character. Let's try to understand it with an example. Okay. And also wherever \t is there, it's a tab character. It's a tab character. So we have these 2 special characters. So let's try to understand those. Print. I want to print Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi, and Kolkata. So I want to print all these, you know, short city names. So I can print it like this. But when you look at this string, you don't understand anything. So for it to make sense, you can add spaces between each city name. Of course, it is an abbreviated city name. So you can see space. But instead of printing them with, you know, space on the same line, I want to print them on in the next line. How do I do it? So we have a \n character, which is a new line character. This character will take the control to the next line. It will take control to the next line. So after Hyderabad, I will type new line character. After Hyderabad, I'll type new line character and I'll remove the space. After Bangalore, I type new line character \n. I remove the space. After Chennai, I type new line character. I remove the space. After Mumbai, I type the new line character. I remove the space. And after Delhi, I type the new line character. Okay, \n. So now see what it is going to do. So it will print Hyderabad, HYD, and it comes to \n. It understands that it has to go to next line, and in the next line it will print BLR, Bangalore, and it will look at \n. It understands it is the next line. It will go to next line, then it will print Chennai, and then it will look at \n. It will understand it will go to next line. In the next line, it will print Mumbai, /n, it will print Delhi, /n, it will print Kolkata. So let's see what happens with /. Hyderabad /n. In the new line, you see BLR, BLR /n. In the new line, you see Chennai, Chennai /n. In the new line, you see Mumbai, Mumbai /n. In the new line, you see Delhi, Delhi /n. In the new line, you'll see Kolkata. So that's how, okay, you can, print something to multiple lines. So the point is very simple. Wherever there is a /n, it is new line character, or it is equivalent to hitting enter key on the keyboard, enter key on the keyboard. Okay. So this is a special character. /n is a special character, and we are going to discuss few things based on this. So in application development, /n plays very important role. Okay. Then we have /t. So let's take the same Hyderabad, Mumbai example. What is /t? When you use /t, it is equivalent to pressing tab key on the keyboard, tab key on the keyboard, /t. So Hyderabad /t, tab, a tab plus /t, after Bangalore, after Chennai /t, after Mumbai /t, after Delhi /t. So look at this. After every city, there is a tab width. After every city, there is a tab width. For every city, there is a tab width. After every city, there is a tab width. So wherever there is a tab, /t, it will consider it as tab key from the keyboard, tab key from the keyboard. So we are looking at the very granular ideas in the print function. Of course, there are a lot of ideas. We are not going to discuss everything, but we are looking at granular ideas in the print function. Okay. So I hope you understood these two characters, /n, /t, what they do. There is also something called / and /, which is called just, it will print the /. When you type two backslashes, that is equivalent to one /. Just remember that. When you type two backslashes, it is equivalent to one /. It is called escaping a / and don't need to worry about it as of now. Okay. I'll explain it appropriately in a different context. Right. Now we have this print function, and we need to look at one more parameter of print function, that is end parameter. Okay, let's see that. For that, I'll take you to a new file. And in this new file, I am going to type a print statement. So print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then print 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then print 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, we are using 3 print statements. And today's date is October 25. Okay, so I'm going to print this function code. So you see, it executes the first print statement, which prints 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then in the next line, it will execute the second print statement. It will print 6 to 10. And in the third print statement will execute in the third line. The question is, can't I print everything on the same line? That is the question. The reason it won't print everything in the straight line is there is a hidden parameter. There is a hidden argument. Just like yesterday, we saw sep as a hidden argument. There is also a hidden argument called end. End is by default /n. That means new line character. There is an end argument. Okay. So that is /n. So when will this end argument will execute? After printing the last parameter 5, 10, 15. After printing the last parameter, it will add a new line character. That is the reason after printing last parameter, the control will go to next line. After printing last parameter, the control will go to next line. So instead, I will use 3 spaces in the place of new line character for the first print statement. So after printing 5, it will not go to the next line, but it will print 3 empty spaces. So let's save and execute this. So after printing the last argument 5, it will print 3 empty spaces. And then it will execute the content from second print statement. And after printing the second print statement last argument, it will print \n. That will take us to next line. And it will start printing 11 to 15. But if you want to print this also in the same line, so this time we use 3 dots. So after printing 10, it will print 3 dots and it will print 11 to 15. Okay. So let's execute this. You can see it prints 5 last argument, then it prints 3 spaces. It prints 10 last argument, it prints 3 dots. So this is how you can fully control a function. We can fully control a function. And there is one idea I'm going to talk about that is called f-string. F-string. So that will make the things very easier for us. For example, x is 10, y is 20, and z is 30. And you want to print these 3 values. This is what you have to do. Print, x is x and y is y and sum of x and y is z. Okay. So if you use this, writing this statement is very complex. Okay. So can I make it simple? Yes, you can make it simple by using f inside this parenthesis by using f. So that's called f-string. I'm not going to discuss about f-string in detail now. Type f and double quotes, type x is x. So write the variable name in the braces. It will take the value for the variable 10. X is 10 and then y is y, which is 20. 20. So it will take the value of our y and sum of x and y is z. So look at this. We are able to cleanly print it. Everything. X is 10, then y is 20. Sum of x and y is z. So wherever you put brackets surrounding a variable, it will take the value for that variable. It will take the value for y, which is 20. It will take the value for z, which is 30. Okay. So, right. So this is how we can use f-string. So we are done with the print function. Second function, we are done with second function. Now let's look at third function. Okay. From 7 functions, the third function is input function. Input function. Okay. It takes input from the user and converts to a string and then assigns to a variable. So variable. Okay, that's what it does. Let's see how it works. So you take a variable and you write input function. That's it. This is how you have to use it. So let's see some examples and let's try to understand. Okay, I take a is equal to 1. I take a is equal to 1. I take b is equal to 2. Okay, then I take c is equal to, instead of typing manually, I'll use input function. Okay, so what happens is, the moment you type input function and if you hit enter, it will wait for your input. It will wait for your input and it takes your input. So input function takes input from the user. It takes our input and converts it to a string. It will convert that to a string. Okay, and then assigns to the variable. So instead of directly assigning a value to variable, you are assigning it through input function, and input function will convert it to a string. So I'm going to enter 3. So let's see the difference. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, but it is surrounded by quotes. What does it mean? It means anything that you input through input function will be converted to a string. A and B are numbers. but C is a string because the input is given through input function, not directly. Not directly. The input is given through input function, not directly. So A and B are numbers. You can add A and B, but you cannot add A and C because A and C are not numbers. So A is an integer, C is a string. A is an integer, C is a string. In the same way, you cannot add B and C because B is an integer, C is a string. So you understand what is happening here. Input function is very good when you want to develop an application. When you execute your program, end user will give the input. End user will give the input. But the problem is the function will convert it to a text, converts the input to the text and then sets it to the variable. Okay, right. So it's being recorded. It's being recorded. Don't worry about it. Okay, right. So, right. Now, let me use a small code. I'm going to use a small code. So, right. So I'm going to write a small program and then we'll implement input function here. I'll take M is equal to 100, N is equal to 500, and R is equal to M plus N, and then we'll print the result, okay, which is R. So you know what happens here. Okay, we all know what happens here. Okay, we know that if we execute this code, it will print 600. Result is 600. Why? Because M is 100, N is 500, M plus N, 100 plus 500 is 600, R is 600, and result column, it is going to print the R value, which is 600. So we saw the result here. It is very clear. The result is very clear. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of directly giving the input, I'll use input function. Okay, for M and for N. So for M and for N. So let's give an input function for M and N. So I will save this. Now, when we execute this program, the input function will wait for our input so that we can give input for M. After giving the input for M, it will wait for input again. The second input function will wait for our input and it will take the input and it will assign it to N. So anything that you give through input function will be converted to a string. It will be converted to a string. That's what you need to keep in mind. So let's save this and let's execute it. Okay, see, the first input function is waiting for us. You give 111. Okay, it is assigned to M. And now we are giving second input function, 889. It will be assigned to N. So when you give something through input function, it will be converted to string. And when you give something through input function, it will be converted to string. So let's see what happens. Look at the result. We expect 111 plus 889 is 1000. But the outcome is not 1000. Why? Because you are not adding 111 plus 889. Okay. So what happened is your 111 is converted to string and then 889 is also converted to string. So when you use plus sign between two strings, you are joining them. As per yesterday's class, you are joining them. So that's what exactly happened. So 111 that you gave is converted to a string with 3 characters, 111. And the 889, 889, the number that you gave as input is converted to a string with 3 characters, 889. So when you add them, you are actually not adding them, you are concatenating them, you are joining them. So 111 and beside it 889. So 111, 889. So you are assigning it to R and R is printing it. So let's execute it one more time. Okay, so let's enter some value. Say 789, 123. So you see, both are joined. They are not added. They are joined because input function will convert it to a string. Okay, that's one. So why is our output not in strings after concat? So how do you say it is not string? How do you say it is not string? It is a string, right? It is a string. It is a string. The whole thing is a string actually, entire thing. Okay. You might be expecting quotes surrounding it, right? Okay, right. You will see quotes. You will see quotes. For example, you say type C. Okay, C is not there now. C is equal to hello. Sorry, C is equal to hello. I told you this yesterday also, but I think you forgot. When you type C directly, you will see quotes. But when you use print statement, you don't see quotes. So anything that you print through print statement is already string. So that's why it is not showing any quotes. Okay, I told you that yesterday also. Okay, probably you forgot that. But keep these things in mind. Note everything, make note of everything, every tiny detail. Okay, so as I told you at the end of the session, I'm going to talk about the recruitment opportunities that you have. So I'm going to talk about the assessment. You are getting assessment from recruiters very soon, this Sunday. Okay, right. So far, the program is not working as I expected. I'm expecting to add two numbers, but it is converting those two numbers to strings and joining them. Okay. Second thing is, because I know this code, I know what to enter here. But if somebody is here and they don't know what is this code and they don't know what to enter here, they may enter anything, something like this. Okay, they may enter anything, but we expect them to enter some numbers. How do we convey that? So inside the input function, you write the prompt. So enter a number, or specifically enter an integer. Okay, this is the prompt. And second input will print enter another integer. Okay, right. Let's save this and execute it. Okay, enter an integer, 500. Enter another integer, 900. So you get these two integers concatenated together. Okay, so you get a large string. Okay, right. So it will take 500 and it will convert it to string and assigns it to M. It takes 900 and converts it to a string and assigns it to M. When you use plus sign between two strings, you are joining the strings. You are not adding the numbers. Okay, and the result is 500900, which is like a phone number. Okay, right. So far it is clear, but now I understand what to enter here. I understand that I need to enter an integer. Okay, so that far I understood. I need to enter integer. Okay, but the problem is, how do I fix this problem? When I enter a number, it should only take the number. When I enter a string, it should take string. How do I fix this problem? The solution is, we have the fourth function that is called int function. Okay, so what it does, so it takes a value or it takes a string. Okay, so if the string has only numeric characters, that is 0 to 9, okay, then it converts it to an integer. Let's try to understand it. Okay, I'll take int function. I like to convert integer 11 to integer. There is no need of conversion, but it will convert an integer to integer. Okay, right. If I type 12.3, this is the float. I try to convert float to integer. So you will see an integer 12. Okay, and I'll take a string. So this is string 885. Okay, so this is a string. So can I convert it to integer? Yes, you can convert it to integer, because this string, which is in quotes, has only numeric characters 0 to 9. It has only numeric characters 0 to 9. So we are able to convert it to an integer. Okay, but if that integer contains something like dot, it cannot handle. any non-numeric characters. Even the dot, it cannot handle because it is an integer function. In an integer, you cannot have dots. If it is a string, it should have only numeric characters. If it is a float, that's a different thing. Okay, but if it is a string, okay, if the string has only numeric characters, then it converts it to integer. Now, because dot is non-numeric character, it throws an error. Or let's take another example. 85A. It throws an error. Invalid literal. So what is the point here? It can convert a string to integer if the string contains only numeric characters 0 to 9. Now let's use this. Okay, I take x, okay, 10 and y through input function. I'll give 20. Now x is a integer, so you can see x is an integer. Y is a string because you gave 20 through input function. You can also check it. X is integer. Y is string. Okay, you can see string. Y is string. Now we know that we cannot add x plus y. But what can we do is we can convert y to integer. So you take y, use integer function y. So it will convert y. What is y? 20. 20 string, 20 string. It will convert y to 20 and you will assign it to y. You will assign it to y. So this is not typecasting as in other languages. This is little different. Okay. So we will talk about typecasting little later. Okay. Much further. Okay. Right. So you can call it as a typecasting in a liberal sense, not in a literal sense. In a liberal sense, there are many books calls it typecasting. Okay. They call it typecasting, but typecasting is more explicit, not implicit. Okay. Right. You can see y is now integer. So we assigned a value to y through input function. Input function converted it to a string and assigned to y. And then you converted this string to integer and assigned it back to y. Now y is an integer. So you perform two steps. One is input function step. Another one is integer function step. Can we combine both? Yeah, you can combine both. Writing one function inside another function is called nesting. Or you can call it as chaining. So shall we do that? Yes. So I'll take z input. So now input function will take an input and it will convert it to a string. But I want to put input function inside into function. Input function inside into function. So what happens whenever you have one function inside another function? The inner function will execute first and it will come to outer function. Let's say there is a first function. Inside that, there is a second function. Inside that, there is a third function. So how does it execute? First, it will go to the innermost function, third function. It will execute the third function. Then it will execute the second function. Then it will execute the first function. Okay. The execution happens from inside out. So first it will execute the input function. Then it will execute the input function. Okay. Let's see. I use Z and I enter 25. So input will take 25. It will convert it to a string. But it cannot directly assign it to Z because int is on its way. So int will take this string 25. It will convert it to integer. It will assign it to Z. Now Z is an integer. Z is an integer. Have we fixed it? Have we fixed it? Yes, fixed it. Now let's do the same thing in the code that we have written a few minutes back. So int. So put input function inside int function. So put input function or chain input function inside int function. First input will execute and it cannot directly assign it to m because it is on its way. There is a int function on its way. So it will give the value to int. Int will convert it to integer and it will assign it to m. So we have fixed it. Let's see now. Let's execute this. So I gave 111 and 889. This is 1000. We have fixed it. We have fixed it. So are we happy? Yes, we are happy. But still, there are some more things to handle. Okay, there are some more things to handle. So, but somebody, they try to execute this code. They try to execute this code, and they try to enter a floating point number, like 50.5, because they don't know the difference between integer and float. They enter 50.5, and also the moment they enter, so it throws an error. Why? Because input function took 50.5, it converted it to a string 50.5 string, but int cannot handle it because there is a dot here. 50.5 int cannot handle it. So what do we need when there is a dot? So you need a fifth function called float. Okay, float string. So what it does is converts a string with only numeric characters and one decimal point to a float number. Okay, right. So look at float. You take an integer, it will convert it to a float. If you take a float, it will keep it float. If you take a string that is integer, it will convert it to float. If you take a float, which is a string, it will convert it to float. So if there is a decimal point in the string, it can handle. So float function can handle. Now, so let's use float. Instead of int, use float. So now this is better to handle numbers. So enter a number. Okay, enter the number. Okay, enter another number. So we have fixed it. So 50.5 and 49.5. We got it. We are able to fix it. I hope you understood how to work. So we are done with 5 functions. Now we took a string with numeric characters, we convert it to an integer, and a string with numeric characters and one decimal point, we can convert it to float. Okay, now what if can I convert a number to string? Do I need it? Yes, you need it. For example, there is a variable called age. So age is 35. And there is a string, my age.
Hello.
Yes. Yes, somebody trying to speak.
ఏంటి
Yeah, mute yourself. Mute yourself, please. Mute yourself. Okay. So my age is plus age. Now this is going to throw an error because my age is a string and age is an integer. You cannot join integer and string. It throws an error. So how do I fix it? So for that, I need a sixth function called str. So it will take a value and converts the value to a string. It converts the value to a string. So let's see that. Okay. So we take my age is plus, we'll convert age to string. Now we are able to join. It is very useful whenever you want to control the output. Okay. Now let's take the final function. This from 7 essential functions. I'm going to take the final function. Okay. Final function, and that is round function. Okay. It will take a number, and optionally it will specify the decimal places you want in that number. So it will take a number. It will round it to the nearest integer, but optionally you can also specify the decimal places. Okay. So rounds the number to nearest integer, and we can also specify the number of decimal places. Okay, right. So let's see one example. I take a value 1.738192. Okay. So this is a number with 6 decimal places. And I want to round this number. So this number is between 1 and 2. And is it nearer to 1 or 2? Can somebody answer? Is it nearer to 1 or 2? Yes, it is nearer to 2. So it will round it to 2. So this is the intrinsic value. 1.738192 is the intrinsic value. But 2 is the outcome. So do you think is the intrinsic value increased or decreased? It increased, right? From 1.738192 to 2. Now let's answer. Okay, I use 1 decimal place. I want to round it up to 1 decimal place. Now, do you think it increased or decreased? 1.7, it increased or decreased? Guys, give your attendance, and the attendance link is already shared with you. Okay, but don't just look at attendance link. Okay, I'll just copy the link for you. So just pasting the link in the chat box. So you give attendance. Yeah, it decreased. Right, only one person answered it. So 1.7 is decreased. Okay, 2 people answered it. But if I round it up to 2 decimals, is it increased or decreased? Is it increased or decreased? Yes, it is increased. If I round it up to 3 decimals, is it increased or decreased? 3 decimals. Okay, it decreased. 3 decimals. Round. 4 decimals. Increased or decreased? Increased. Round. 5 decimals. Increased or decreased? Decreased. So rounding up to 0 decimals increases, up to 1 decimal decreases the value, 2 decimals increases, 3 decimals decreases, 4 decimals increases, 5 decimals decreases. So sometimes the value will increase, sometimes the value will decrease. These are the 7 functions, and they are essential functions. What are they? Type, print, input, int, float, string, str, and then the round function. These are the 7 essential functions. If you understand these functions, and I'm going to give you good assignments starting from next week. Okay. So since we have finished these functions, I'm going to give you good assignments starting from next class. So now I'm going to share with you one idea called comments. Okay. So if I write any statement, 100 plus, you will see outcome. Okay. But there are certain statements you don't see outcome, like, none, you don't see any outcome. Pass, you don't see any outcome. But these are statements. Okay, these are statements. Let's go back to our code. Okay, let's go back to our code. You see, in this program, there are 4 statements. Okay, but I can also write comments. Let me tell you something. I teach people not only how to code, but also, most importantly, I teach people how to work with your team on a project where more than 50 people work together. Okay, that is what I teach. I teach CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous delivery. Okay, that is the subject I teach, CI/CD. Okay, so one of the rule in professional coding is you should make your code easily understandable. Okay, in the first class, I told you something about Gen of Python. Import this. You type import this. You see, it shows our rules. It shows our rules for clean coding. These are called clean coding rules or clean coding principles. Okay. Beautiful is better than ugly. Explicit is better than implicit. So if you come down, readability counts. Your code should be readable. Others should understand your code. Of course, this is a very small code, not much to understand, but basically your code should be readable. It should be readable. Others should understand your code. How do you make it readable? See, there are two types of people. One is when you execute this program, okay, and they'll use this program, like, they enter numbers. Okay, these are users, the people who enter numbers are users. They are users. Okay, right, they are users. But there are other people who will come to your code. Okay, they are coders. End users, they just want to use your code and they want to enter the numbers like this and they want to see the result. These are end users. And other people who want to see your code. Now, this code is very simple code. Anybody can understand with basics. If they know Python for 10 days, they'll understand this code. It's not a difficult. Okay. But what if it is a complex code? It has 30 to 40 statements. And you are not doing simple addition, you are doing some complex activity. So you wrote this code and you come back to your code after 10 days. You don't understand your own code because all these 10 days you are writing different codes continuously and you forgot what you wrote in this file. You don't understand. That's number one. That's very dangerous because you cannot improve your code. Because in organizations, in good international organization, they focus on continuous improvement. So that's number one. Number two, okay, what you're going to do is you are going to share your code with others. Don't think that you are not going to share your code with others. If you are very partial, if you are selfish, if you are conjuice, then you cannot become a software developer. Software developers make their code understandable. They write comments. They write a comment, something like that. I'm going to talk about documentation a little later, but I just write the comments. Comments are not documentation. They serve as documentation, but documentation is something the end user can use. End user can use documentation. Document can be used by end user. Okay. But comments are for coder. So it is a documentation for code. So you can write comments like this, anything that starts with hash. Any line that starts with hash is a comment. This program adds 2 numbers. So this is a comment. So how many lines do you find in this file? 5 lines. But the first line is a comment. It is not a command. It is not an instruction. It is not a statement. So the first line is a comment. Anything that starts with hash is a comment. Comments are not executed. Comments are not executed. So there are only 4 statements. The first one is not a statement. Okay, let me put one more comment. Okay, these are inputs. You are giving 2 inputs, one input for M, one input for N. So this section is for that. Okay. Third section is processing. Here you are doing some process and adding processing. And the fourth section is output. So do you know computer architecture? What is the basic computer architecture? Input unit, processing unit, output unit. Input unit, processing unit, output unit. Any program should have these 3 components: input, processing, output. Input, processing, output. So you have to give continuous inputs and it will continuously process and it will give continuous output. So, this is a very simple architecture, but in the real world, the architecture is very complex. So continuous inputs, continuous processing, continuous outputs. Okay. So how many lines of code is there? Only 4 lines of code and 4 lines of comments. First comment is this. Second comment is inputs. Third comment is processing. Fourth comment is output. Any statement, any line that starts with hash is not going to be executed because it is not a statement. It is a comment. It is a comment. So it won't be executed. Okay, it will be ignored by your Python software or interpreter. The software that executes this code will ignore these comments. They are only for reading and understanding the code better. That is the purpose of these comments. They are not going to be executed. So you can write comments in separate lines, independent comments. You can also write inline comments. So in the same line, you can write a comment. So you can write value 1. Okay. And another comment value 2. And then Okay, so addition. Okay, so and print function. So do you see there are 4 independent comments? Okay, 4 comments in separate line and 4 inline comments. Okay, you write a statement, and after finishing the statement in the same line, you can write a comment. Type hash, it will become a comment. Type hash, it will become a comment. Type hash, it will become a comment. So you can write comments in separate lines. You can write inline comments. Inline comments. At the end of the statement, put hash and start typing are comments. So what are comments? Comments are not documentation, but they are kind of documentation for the code readers. Who will read the code? Only coders will read the code. Maybe you read your own code, or your code will be read by other team members. But you have to write the comments. If you don't write the comments, you will be considered unprofessional guy. Don't make your code obscure, okay? Difficult for others to understand. Don't do that. So only bad persons will do that. Remember that, okay? Only bad people will do their code obscure to others, okay? So according to international standards, you have to make your code understandable for everyone. So that's the rule. So let me just, importance of comments in a programming language. So you just go to Google and type it. So you see, comments are important part of programming language because they make code easier to understand, maintain, and collaborate. You see the word collaborate here? Collaborate. Okay. So it will make it readable, maintainable, collaboration. And it is also a kind of, see, documentation. It says comments can act as documentation. Comments are not documentation, but they can act as documentation, and it is also part of compliance. That means if you want to stick to international standards, see, comments can help demonstrate compliance with coding standards and regulations. If you want to be a professional developer, you must code comments. You must write comments. That's very, very important and essential. Right. Now let's look at 2 more things. Okay. Now, one thing is we are going to write line continuation statement. Okay. Line continuation character. Continuation character. Okay. So there is something called backslash. It is line continuation character. When there is a big line, big statement, horizontally big statement, you can break that into multiple lines using backslash. Type backslash and hit enter. You can continue the statement into next line. For example, I'll just give one example. 1 plus 10 plus 2 plus 20 plus 3 plus 30 plus 4 plus 40 plus 5 plus 50. Okay, you see, this is a big statement. Of course, there are some statements, they span 2-3 lines, but you can break the statement into multiple lines. So let's see how to break it. 1 plus 10 plus backslash enter. 2 plus 20 plus backslash enter. 3 plus 30 plus backslash enter. 4 plus 40 plus backslash enter. 5 plus, okay, 50. And this is where it ends. So instead of writing a line statement in one line, okay, so you can write the statement in multiple lines. Okay. Somebody sent the attendance link because people are asking for attendance link. Right. They're asking for attendance link. Right. I shared it. So you can write this into multiple lines. Okay. Right. And finally, we are going to see one more idea, that is compound assignment operator. Okay. Compound assignment operator. So you see, compound means more than one. Only then you can call it as compound. So in the compound, there are 2 operators. Okay. When do we use? Whenever you want to break the statement into logical parts, into multiple lines, so that when somebody looks at your statement, if it is a very lengthy statement, people may not understand it. Break it into multiple lines so that they can clearly understand what is the purpose of the statement. In such cases, use it. Okay, right. Got it? You got it? Yes. Right. So compound means not one operator, two operators. And one of the operator is assignment operator. So let's try to understand how it works. So let's say I want to use x is equal to 10. Then I want to increase the value of x. I can write like this, x plus 5. So whatever is on the right side of assignment operator is value. So what is x? 10. 10 plus 5, 15. And you assign it to x. So what are we doing here? We are using two operators. One is assignment, other one is addition. So which is getting executed first? First addition is executing, then assignment. So let's see what happens. So x is 15. So instead, we can write like this. X, first operator is plus, second operator is assignment. So first plus executes, then assignment executes, then you write 15. Or let's write 10. So what is x? 15, right? 15, first operator is plus. 15 plus 10, 25. And assign it back to x. X becomes 25. Okay, right. Yes, shorthand notation. Right. Okay, right. Similarly, x plus equal to 30. So what is x from previous statement? 25. 25 plus 30, 55. 55 equal to x. So x becomes 55. Right. Again, x plus equal to 45. What is x? 55. 55 plus 45, 100. And assign it back to x. So x is 100. So this is how we use. Okay. Similarly, we can also use minus. Okay. So x minus equal to 10. So what is x? 100. 100 minus 10, 90. And assign it back to x. X becomes 90. X minus equal to 30. So x is 90. 90 minus 30 is 60. Assign it back to x. X is 60. Okay. Similarly, x into equal to 12, or let's say 60, another 60. So x is 60. X into 60, 360, 3600 equal to x. It is x is 3600. Okay, right. So x into equal to 7. So x is 3600. 3600 into 7. Assign it to x. So you will get 2520. Okay, a big number. Okay, right. And finally, x divided by equal to 10. So x is 25,200 divided by 10, you get 2,520. Okay, so right. Again, you divide it by 5. Like x divided and 5 equal to 5. So this is this will become 504. Okay, so when you divide 2,520 by 5, it becomes 504. Assign it to x. 504. Right. So we are done with a lot of operators. And let me tell you something, guys. On Sunday, recruiters are going to send assessment, that is exam, and top coders will be added to leaderboard and they'll be interviewed. They will be interviewed. So keep that in mind. They will be interviewed. There are a lot of opportunities coming. So make sure you take this opportunity, whether you are prepare yourself well, prepare yourself well. Whether you prepare yourself well or not, because sometimes it is not possible, but make sure you attend exam. Some of you will be placed. Top coders with efficiency will be placed. Okay, that scope is there. And also, there are a lot of goodies are going to come. So grab everything. Okay. From my side, it is Python. And by the end of tomorrow, I'll send you a sample assessment. Probably Our recruiters may send a different assessment altogether, but I'm going to send a sample assessment, right? Any questions you can ask? Okay, so guys, have a great time ahead. See you all. Bye. And Sham, would you like to add anything? Sham or anybody from our team, would you like to add anything? Sham or somebody from our organization, would you like to add anything? Okay, right. So if not, we'll end this session. Have a great time ahead. Bye.